Now, I only have one question for you who might have clicked this video curious about the title. Is Apex Legends a dead game? Well, if you're interested in that, we're going to talk about it and why it may and may not be depending on the choices that they make. We're also going to focus on what is happening with the game, how much revenue it's made, what the Octane and Battlepass release have done for the game, and what they have maybe harmed as far as the game's overall perception amongst fans, and how Apex Legends can traverse the void of anonymity that so many battle royales have somehow fallen into. All that and more here in this video. I'm going to be giving you my thoughts, and please make sure to share your thoughts down below. There's absolutely no reason for me to talk without you guys talking as well. So if you ever find something that you like, any point you want to bring up, pause the video, go ahead and write about it in the comment section below. Continue watching and you can edit it later. You can make a new comment as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and let's get into the video. Of course, today I want to talk about the future of Apex Legends, but I want to let you know we did talk about the state of the game a little while ago. We talked about some of the things they need, some of the things I liked about the games, like the new weapons, the Battle Pass coming out and how that needed to look, and then some of the balancing conversations and communication I've seen from Respawn that gave me a lot of hope for the future. But now as the dust has settled and we've seen a lot of other kind of overarching things happen within the Twitch and YouTube communities, I thought this video was necessary to take a look at the long-term view of this game. The first thing I want to talk about is the Fortnite World Cup and its impact on Apex Legends. Now, because Fortnite has a World Cup coming up, it means that a lot of players are going to be turning their focus onto Fortnite. Now, obviously, it's the biggest battle royale in the world, and Apex Legends is directly competing with it. So this is an issue for Apex Legends and getting its potential player base, its growth, and of course, its exposure on Twitch and YouTube to maximize during this very crucial time of kind of cementing itself in the gaming sphere. It's kind of weird to think about a game that has 50 million players, over $100 million in revenue thus far, just released a Battle Pass and a new character to be a dead game or on the decline, but in fact it is. And it's very important to keep in mind that sometimes with the volatility of this community and the way people just kind of throw games out, it could go from very bad to worse to done in just a few moments. The problems with the Fortnite World Cup are nothing to do with Fortnite. I love the game, I love the World Cup, but big streamers that would play Apex more casually, like Ninja, maybe Tim the Tapman, they're focusing more on Fortnite or different games. Grand Theft Auto 5 has had a big surge thanks to Summit and then Lyric and then Tim, and all these guys have been playing it, and that's kind of exploded. So Apex Legends is getting less and less time on Twitch. The issues with this is huge because our community looks at these things. What are the views on a video? What are the stream count? Who's streaming it? And they immediately associate a quality level to it. Like if somebody gets out of a Lamborghini versus getting out of a Honda Civic. There's nothing wrong with it, but people assume the Lamborghini guy has a ton of money and is super hype and doing really well in his life, and the Honda Civic guy is living an average life. I mean, you could be balling in a Honda Civic. I think it's possible. I want to do it one day. I want to pull up with a Honda Civic and have everybody be like, oh, don't pay attention to that guy, and then just be dropping $1,000 here and there and just buying people's jobs off. I want to do that one day, you know, just for fun. And then, you know, obviously, if I cause any trouble, reverse it immediately by saying it was just a joke. Maybe turn into a YouTube video. But the goal is that perception is sometimes everything. And because there's so much esports and prizing in Fortnite, it's going to be difficult to pull eyes and keep people who are streaming the games and those kind of 5,000 to 10,000 viewer streamers or medium-sized content creators to keep focusing on it when Fortnite's driving more. This is going to be very important, and I think esports needs to get into Apex Legends to compete sooner than later. I've really only seen Apex Code Red videos, tournaments happening, and it's just not enough. They have to ramp that up. They need to have some big prizing. They need to make some announcements on this and turn some of these high-level players' attention and just players' attention in general back to Apex. One thing I think needs to happen for this game to succeed. Otherwise, Fortnite's competitive scene is just going to continually drive more and more players to focus all of their time and content creation on that game. The second thing is the Battle Pass and content creation in general. The most important thing about the Battle Pass is that there was this huge hype and a very weird delay when it was first launched. People said it was coming out on the 12th. There was this really weird like release of a screenshot that looks like it should have been out on the 12th, and then it got taken down immediately. Obviously, that blasted to the top of Reddit, and people were like, well, it's supposed to come out, and then it came out basically an entire week later. Now, what people were expecting based on that last week was, you know, hey, this is maybe going to be a little bit better. Maybe they're making some tweaks. Maybe something happened. Maybe the leak was, you know, unintentional. But you can assume that somehow, somewhere, they probably intended to put it out on the 12th. But when it came out, it was a little underwhelming. I mean, I love the game. I'm happy for something like this. There's a free track. I could buy this one and then also earn the next one. There's some fun skins that you get right at the unlock. There's a tier 3 kind of evolving weapon, and the trailers were dope as heck. I was totally down for it, but I'd be lying. And Apex and Respawn, EA and Respawn, you guys would be lying if you said that this is the dopest battle pass we've ever seen. The cosmetics were a little lacking as far as creativity and as far as really changing the character, and I know that a lot of people were expecting something a little flashier for the first release of brand new cosmetics for the game. Now, I've talked about this being from the industry and being able to show you guys that it's 6 months to a year of a ramp up before you see the stuff that's coming out today. So, you know, the stuff that they're going to be making now for 6 months down the line is going to be way better. We already know that. But it also was a little bit weird, the way it was delayed, the way that it still wasn't that great, the way that they had badges every 20% of the battle pass that were just telling you what level you achieved. It's not really a reward. A lot of people express that. Now, I'm not complaining about it because I really appreciate any type of cosmetic. I love having something to do. But the problem is there were a lot of people who were, and if you're trying to ignore that fact by just only looking at the good side, you're missing out at potential to improve. And I think one of the biggest issues with this is that you've shown a battle pass that's relatively underwhelming to at least a majority or at least a large portion of your audience, and said that the best thing about this is to earn the next battle pass. But why would someone want to earn the next battle pass if the current battle pass is not that exciting? You see what I mean? So the goal is, I think, to trust in the fact that yes, they are going into a better path, and maybe these cosmetics will be better in the future, but they do need to be better to, I think, sustain the way Fortnite has kept people engaged with their battle pass and the way they've kept people engaged with their cosmetics. Also, I really like their release pattern. I'll talk about the communication of Respawn because I think that's another thing that needs to improve. But you know, it's something that I think can be improved. Fortnite be dropping skins left and right. You never know. You just scroll Fortnite's page and, oh my God, brand new Rhino skins and this and that. And you're like, I didn't even think there was anything happening, but cool. Now I'm going to go play Fortnite. It matters. You got to keep people engaged. Now, the third thing I want to talk about are new legends. Obviously, we had Octane coming into the fray, and Octane was a very cool legend. But one of the things that I feel like we want to see in future legends is unique traits to the gameplay mechanics. Now, Octane was a feels-good character, and I could see why, from a design perspective, they would put him out first. Listen, he's kind of noob-friendly, and I don't mean that against anybody. I'm just saying if you're a new player and you press Q on Octane, you're going to feel good. It's going to be a good moment. Movement speed is a feels-good trait for every single player in the game. It also scales extremely well with high skill, meaning the better you are at the game, the more you will take advantage of that movement skill than a player who is new. However, it still is a great feeling. The jump pad is very fun. People know that there's no fall damage in this game. It's one of the things they can do by allowing you to go up in the air and come down without really having any issues to your health or new players being, taken advantage of in that way. But I would love to see some more unique designs coming through for future champions. Now, of course, there's already leaks on who, 800 million champions that are coming out. I don't know exactly who they are, but there's also some great champion ideas and things like the Apex Reddit that I'd love to see concepted and maybe put into the game. Now, I have a whole video that I might want to do for this, but just one idea that caught my eye called Jack Breacher. I think this is a play on Jack Reacher, voiced by Tom Cruise for pesky punks posted up inside. He's got a cool passive where, maybe he could break down the doors with one kick and stun enemies. He has a flashbang as his tactical, and he can briefly blind enemies. That sounds like a lot because a flashbang on like a 20-second cooldown is kind of annoying. And battering ram. I like this one where you can charge forward with an unbreakable shield, knocking back and damaging enemies. That seems like a really cool play. And I definitely like the idea of characters coming into the game that have these mechanics that aren't just moving faster or jumping and, kind of utilizing some stuff we've seen in the game already. New mechanics are the key to keeping people feeling like they're able to evolve and to learn new skills and to take what they've learned and kind of progress that in gameplay. And I think that's what these new characters need to look for. So Octane is really fun. I really enjoy him. I think it was a great release, but I could tell that new legends are going to have to bring a little bit of uniqueness to continue to keep everyone's attention. Now, another thing that I want to talk about with new is the new weapons. Weapon releases have been very sparse, and I understand that the Havoc was very quick. I mean, it was almost a week after the game was launched and the Havoc came out. But then since then, we have not seen a new weapon. We've seen weapon nerfs, we've seen weapon tweaks to the Peacekeeper, tweaks to the Wingman, but no new weapons have occurred. And I think, again, a lot of my comparisons are towards what's worked, and that's why I took a moment to think about this video before I actually did several takes. But the idea of adding new weapons to give players something to do outside of what's currently in the game is important. Even if you're taking that weapon out, bringing it back in, making adjustments to it, I think this is going to be a key thing that I would like to see Respawn and EA start to do. It doesn't mean that the weapon has to be the most game-changing weapon in the world, but if you have one new weapon every 5 months, 2 weapons a year, I don't know if that's going to engage the audience the same way, especially if you're not adding new legends very much or you're not adding new cosmetics. The goal with this new stuff is if you're adding new legends, you don't have to add as many new weapons, but you have a higher increase of the legends you're adding. If you're adding new weapons, you don't have to do as many legends because the gameplay is changing. If you're adding a ton of cosmetics, it feels like you're adding a lot to the game all the time. People are changing. You kind of want the new skin. You may not have to add as much of either, but the point is there's not really a lot of any, and the Battle Pass is something that is, you know, I think didn't come out as strong as they would have hoped. I'm sure people still bought it. I supported it. I want to support the game, but I think that as far as the appeal, it wasn't as strong as they would have hoped. I'd love to see new weapons again, like we talked about it before. New hop-ups are really dope. I love that idea. That's something we haven't seen them do. We'll get into that in another video, I'm sure. I will be covering hop-ups later. Now, the fifth thing, and this is something that's super important, is understanding communication. Now, one of the biggest things I think people have been upset with about Apex Legends, and in the future I think could be an issue, is this blank period where they go silent for so long. I mean, they don't tweet anything talking to their players, they don't make a Reddit post, and they just release stuff out of nowhere. Now, let me tell you why I believe they're doing this, and let me tell you some of the issues with this. Now, community can oftentimes ramp itself up in order to jump itself off a cliff. Literally, we saw that happen with the Battle Pass. Everyone got way too excited, everyone got way too expectant of leaks and things like that, and when it didn't show up, they just jumped off a cliff and said, this is the worst thing ever. Now, that's the community's fault. It has nothing to do with Respawn. But in a simple way, Respawn needs to be aware from now on that's how the community behaves. Gamers are becoming more and more reliant on YouTube and Twitch and things to get information, and when it's just leaks and expectations and those aren't quelled and you're not giving them feedback, it's like someone saying in a courtroom, your officer, he did it to me. He's the one who went and you know, beat me outside and hit me with a club and blah blah blah, and you don't say anything. They send you to the stand, they say, what did you do? You say, I plead the fifth, I did nothing. You don't even respond. Well, then all we have is to go off of the hearsay, maybe the slander, the libel, if it's, you know, if it's written, all that kind of stuff, to be able to accuse you, and we don't hear your side. So you need to give your side in these. You need to say this is correct, this is not correct. You don't have to respond to everything, but keeping communication open is important. I feel like they can do a better job of doing that in the future. Let me know what you guys think about that one. I think that's been one of my bigger conversations and thoughts around the way they've handled it, and I think it's been incredibly good for such a overnight success. It's really hard to handle these games that get big out of nowhere. But understand this is why they did it. Games try to drown other games. This is so not bad. This is just the way the industry works. But if you say 2 months from now, I'm releasing a new character, I'm releasing a new battle pass, and we need everyone to play that day and buy all our stuff, otherwise we've spent a lot of money and we're not going to be able to do anything else, you're going to see a new champion in every single competitive game launch that day. You're going to see free XP bonuses. You're going to see a double, triple creator code, money doubling. Like, you're going to see all of that. Because at the end of the day, you're stealing from the best games. You know, who do you think is playing Apex Legends or Overwatch? You know, I mean, or Fortnite. I mean, there are a lot of the same players who are just switching games that day. If we can retain our player base and make sure that 60% of them don't go over to you, when if we had no update, like if we didn't release a character, they'd all go to you that day because we don't have anything special going on, that's huge. Because if they go to you one day, that means they may come back day 2. They may come back day 3. 5 weeks later, they may not have played Overwatch, and we just lost players that we could have retained. So this is a very important thing to understand. They are being sensitive for a reason. That is how the industry works. I guarantee if you see big launches, you're going to see other big launches, and so they're being very hush-hush about it. So please understand that that's probably a big reason why they're not communicating as much. The sixth thing, and one of the things that I want to say before I go into my final kind of conversation, and I appreciate everybody watching this video and talking with me about it. Again, I wanted to be honest. I wanted to share my thoughts, and I have 2 final thoughts. I got to almost write this down. The last question is, if it doesn't beat Fortnite, Okay, if it's not the biggest game in the world, and if it has a downtrend, can it survive? Is it a dead game? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is no. It's not a dead game, and yes, it can survive. Apex Legends needs the Warframe treatment like I think every game needs. It needs to get continual good updates. Now, I know Warframe took a little bit of a dip in the past, but about 6-8 months ago, it was kicking ass, man. It was just having some great numbers. It had an update that sent it to its higher player count forever, and that's 3 years after the game had been released. If you continually support something, it eventually wins. If you don't give up in your life, you eventually get to where you want to go. It's those who give up that don't get there. And that's a life lesson, but it's also a gaming lesson. If you continually support a community, they will show up. This game has enough players to live forever. Because smaller games have done it and bigger games have done it, this game can do it too. It doesn't have to beat Fortnite. I'm not sure if any game can ever do it, especially if they're not on mobile. That's for sure. Now, what can it clean up? It can make a better battle pass. It can add finishers in the next battle pass. It can do things that people want, better cosmetics. It can have better communication. It can have new legends that inspire people to play the game that have never played the game before, that can attract a new player because of the new mechanics that maybe they're attached to. It can do all those things. But do I think it's going to have 3 players like Islands of 9 right now? Do I think it's going to have 136 players like the Darwin Project right now on Steam charts? No. And I don't think that's an issue. So the future of the game is bright. But I think it needs to do these things and needs to correct some of the mistakes that it's made. Not saying it's a mistake that's bad. It's just saying things that could have gone a little bit better and hopefully go better in the future. But that all starts with us believing, us supporting, us watching, us playing, and us having our thoughts heard in a clear, radical candor, constructive criticism type of way. I'm still making Apex Legends content. I still love the game, and I'm a huge supporter of it. But it is important that we have these conversations to help keep our spirits positive, to know that it's all possible, that the game we love is going to keep growing. But it's also important to give feedback. Like someone that you love, you want to tell them that there's something in their teeth. You don't want them to go on a date with a big old piece of spinach up in their teeth. So you tell them so that they can get it out and then they can go get that ass. No, I'm kidding. I'm messing around with you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this one. I know I went on for a while, but I had a lot to say, and hopefully you do too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys say about this as well. As always, my friends, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I will see you all next time.